When we really think of these 6 ways in which our lives are like the bucket in the well, when we really think about it, it's kind of scary. Yeah. When you really think, like along the first one, that the bucket's controlled by the rope, and our mind is controlled by afflictions, and you really think, yeah, my mind's controlled by afflictions, and then afflictions come in my mind. I create all sorts of destructive actions motivated by them. That creates the karma, which propels me into unhappy rebirths and samsara, and keeps me just going round and around and around with no end in sight. And when you think like that, it's really, it's scary, when you have some idea of what samsara is and just going up and down in all these different realms of existence. That kind of scariness is good. Yeah, don't run away from things just because they're scary. Because when we see the disadvantages of cyclic existence, and cyclic existence begins to seem like a scary place or a scary situation to us, then what happens is we want to become free. Yeah, we want to renounce cyclic existence. We want to attain liberation. And so it invokes in us a really strong motivation that will take us in a very good direction. Okay? And similarly, when you think of the 6 things about the bucket in terms of other living beings, not just yourself, then, compassion arises, and we want to do something to be a benefit to sentient beings. And so we want to attain full awakening so we can really be of effective benefit. And so again, that scariness acts as a stimulus for something that's extremely good and worthwhile. Okay. So you have to know when things come up in the mind how to use them so that they help your Dharma practice. If you just see, my mind's overwhelmed by anger, what can I do? Oh, this is terrible. I don't know what to do. So much anger. Poor me, my life's out of control. I'm just so angry. If that's how you respond, then what's happening? Yeah, you're just creating more affliction, more negativity in yourself. Whereas if you realize, my anger is a problem, or my greed is a problem, and I need to do something about it. Yeah, if I'm going to be happy, if my life's going to be meaningful, I need to do something about it. And so I'm determined to do something. And I'm very fortunate because I've met the method that will show me how to transform this situation. Then you're taking that same awareness and you're using it for something good. Okay? So don't let your mind just go, like we often do. Okay? Yeah. Then another thing I was thinking is, we're talking about our mind being controlled by afflictions, that in a worldly way, people who don't know what cyclic existence is, who have never thought about that self-grasping ignorance and how it thinks of the I, how it thinks of mine. So people who don't know anything about that, then they think in general that afflictions are quite normal and natural. Somebody criticizes you. Yeah, of course you get angry. Yeah, everybody gets angry when they're criticized. And you should get angry, otherwise somebody's going to take advantage of you, you know? And you should get angry because anyway, you're right, and that person has no right to point out your faults, even if you have them. Yeah? So often, the world supports our afflictions. It supports our misconceptions. Okay? You look what's happening now in the country. Yeah? Contempt, insult is in, isn't it? Completely socially acceptable. When I grew up, the way people talk to each other now in social discourse or in the media, when I grew up, back with the dinosaurs, if you talked like that, people just were horrified. You were expected at least to be polite, in public. And now everybody has permission to just trash everybody else. Whether you do it to their face, whether you do it on social media, And this is the example that the leaders in the country are setting. And so now everybody has permission just to vent their anger and get it out. And so you see, before, when, with the dinosaurs, everybody accepted, oh yeah, you got angry and it's very natural to be angry. And they supported your anger, but, be polite at least, in social discourse. Just scream at your family, but, try and be polite to everybody else. Yeah. But now it's like there's not even that. And so people, very supported in their afflictions and in their bad behavior. So it's very easy for us, when affliction arises in the mind, when our friends, when society in general, think, well, yeah, that's normal, that's natural, then we just go along with it. We don't have any thought to maybe rein in our bad language or rein in our harmful behavior. Because anyway, everybody's like that. Are you getting what I mean? Yeah. And so this is, as a Dharma practitioner, we're going upstream. We're swimming upstream. So we can't take what society thinks is normal as our normal. Yeah. Because if we do, we're just falling in those pit holes. So our normal, what we're going to aim to be, has to be based on, what is free of ignorance, anger, and attachment. Yeah, it's going to have to be based on kindness and compassion and forgiveness. Yeah. And so we're going to have to, really know our own ethical standards and monitor ourselves, because society is going to push us in the opposite direction. Pardon?
Conventional wisdom.
Yeah, conventional wisdom is not Dharma wisdom. You look in terms of greed, everybody says, well, it's normal. Yeah, to cheat on your taxes is normal. To try and get some more money from your company, it's normal. Of course, you're going to look out for your family and your friends more than other people. It's normal to help your friends. It's normal to harm your enemies. This is what normal people do. Yeah, you want to help your enemies? You must be a terrorist. Yeah. Okay? So this is, the way society thinks. But we have to think in a Dharma way. Yeah. I remember at my very first Dharma course when my teacher said, help your friends, harm your enemies. That's what normal people do. But that's what dogs do also. He said, when you help your friends and harm your enemies, you're no better than an animal. You're not acting any different than animals. Yeah? Except we harm our enemies sometimes in a much more vicious way than animals do. But, dogs, if you feed them, they wag their tail. Yeah? They're so happy to see you. They protect you. Yeah? You're their everything. Huh? And then when somebody new comes that they don't know, they bark. Yeah? Help your friends, harm your enemies. Okay? So doing that as a human being has no special human quality to it. Yeah? It doesn't, there's no special human quality in that. It's exactly what animals do. Yeah? Bunny rabbits, chipmunks help their friends, harm their enemies. So, if we want to do something that is worthy of being a human, we have to challenge many of those things that society says is just normal, just the way it is. Yeah. Johnny threw sand at you in the sandbox. You throw sand back. Yeah. And then you grow up to be an adult, and that becomes, if you get some power in the country, that becomes your foreign policy. Except now you're not throwing sand. You're throwing something more dangerous. And you're involving many more people. Okay? So we shouldn't rely on, well, everybody's doing it. Everybody thinks that way. Yeah, that doesn't work. Doesn't work. And so that's also why it's really important that we choose who we hang out with. Yeah. Any parent knows that. What's the thing that you teach your kid? Yeah, have good friends. So-and-so lies and cheats. Don't stay around that person. They're not going to be a good friend to you. Yeah, make good friends. Yeah, that's what every parent teaches their kid. But do the parents do that themselves? Yeah? We say to the kids, don't be influenced by peer pressure. Just because your friends are drinking and drugging, you don't have to drink and drug. But when it's time to take the 5 precepts, how many parents take all 5 precepts? And how many of them don't take the one about drinking and drugging? A lot. I'll tell you. Yeah? So it's interesting, Kids, don't be swayed by peer pressure. But parents, I don't want to go to a party and be the only person who's not drinking. Yeah? It's so interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Another thing from my mother was, do as I say, not as I do. Yeah? Did your parents say that? Yeah? What did you think when they said that? Yes. Why are you telling me that? That's just an excuse for you to do whatever you want and hold me to a different standard. And kids are smart. I mean, they see when their parents, what do they say, walk the talk. and when their parents don't. We learn much more through the example of the people we hang out with than through what they say. Words are quite easy compared to actions. Yeah.
Are you on number 2?
Oh, I haven't started yet.
Okay, thank you.
We finished number 2 this morning. I'm just doing blah blah. Okay. No, I'm just kind of recapping number 1, and number 2 in different language. Okay? Yeah. Now I'll go on to number 3. Okay, we'll get through all 6 somehow. But I think there's a lot of these, they're short, brief points. But boy, when you really think about them, there's a lot there. Okay, so 3. Just as the bucket travels up and down the well over and over, so sentient beings ceaselessly wander in the great well of cyclic existence, from the uppermost states of temporary happiness to the lowest states of temporary pain. Okay, so samsara, cyclic existence, it consists of 3 main realms: the desire realm, which is the one we're in, the form realm, and the formless realm. The form and formless realms, you get born there by attaining different states of meditative absorption. So the form realms, they have bodies, kind of special bodies. They don't experience gross pain, and they really enjoy the pleasure of meditative equipoise. The formless realm, they don't even have gross bodies. They just have the mental aggregates. And, you're in your very wonderful meditative absorption from the moment you're born there until the moment you die from that realm. Yeah, so quite nice. No taxes. Yeah, no tickets to pay for parking too long, none of this stuff. The desire realm, the one we live in, has 6 classes, okay? And they're arranged in an order from those where there's the most obvious suffering to those where there's the least obvious suffering, okay? So the ones with the most obvious suffering are the hell realms, where there's incredible physical pain, okay? A step up from that is the hungry ghost realms. Those are the ones that we made the offerings to after lunch. Yeah, the ones that, due to having a lot of craving and attachment, then they're born in a place where, they're always hungry, they're always thirsty, and they can never get what they want. Yeah, that realm's the epitome of Mick Jagger's "I can't get no satisfaction." That's their life. Above that's the animal realm. So this one we can see, we can relate to. Yeah. When we think about the animals, it doesn't seem so bad initially, but really think, what would it be like to have an animal mind? Yeah. What would it be like if your mind were like a turkey's mind? Yeah? Because those beings born as turkeys were human beings sometime in the past. And through creating negative karma, they get born as turkeys. What goes on in your mind when you're a turkey? Yeah. Do you have any chance at learning the Dharma? Any chance about thinking what is moral and immoral, what is beneficial and what is not beneficial. Yeah. Sit there and really, watch these turkeys sometime. It's scary when you think of being born as a turkey. Or you look at our kitties. Our kitties are so wonderful. We love our kitties so much. But when I look and think, what would it be like to be born as a kitty? These kitties have luxurious lives. Yeah. Venerable Yeshe builds them condos. Yeah, you saw one right out here. These cats have it so good on a physical level, But what would it be like to have your mind be limited by a cat's body and a cat's brain? So all you thought about all day was basically what to eat and where to sleep. And who to hiss at. Yeah, if they annoyed you. No chance to do anything meaningful with the life. When you really think, what would it be like to have that kind of mind? Yeah. No even language abilities, no ability to even express what you need. Except by, meowing a little bit. Okay, so the hell realm, the hungry ghost realm, the animal realm. Next is human realm. So that we know about, and all the diversity in the human realm. Then the grade up from that, then there's the demigods, and then the sixth one is the gods. Okay, so they have a situation of much more pleasure, but the physical pleasure, material pleasure. But the problem is the gods and the demigods are fighting all the time. Okay, because there's these trees that give forth this fantastic fruit. The roots are in the demigod realm, but the fruit, the tree grows over so that the fruit is in the God realm. So the gods pick the fruit, and the demigods are going, hey, wait a minute. The roots of this tree are in our realm. We want some of that fruit. And the gods go, forget it. Yeah. And of course, there's a big court case and there's subpoenas, and nobody, gives the material that the subpoena is for. And, the CIA gets involved in it, and they have to expose their intelligence secrets, because the demigods and the gods are, fighting. Okay, so that's the desire realm. It's called the desire realm because we have all these external objects of desire, and we're very much controlled by the external objects that we desire. From morning to night, our mind is directed outwards. I want to see beautiful things. I want to hear nice sounds. I want to smell nice fragrances. I want to taste good food. I want nice tactile situations. I want to be around good people who make me happy. I want to have a nice house. I want to have a car. I want good social standing. I want to be famous. Yeah, I want to be well respected. I want people to talk well of me behind my back. I want to get my way. Everything, all of that is concerned with the outside, isn't it? Yeah? With somehow trying to get the external world to give us the pleasure that we want, and also so that we can be free of painful things in the external world. Okay, so we're always battling with sense objects. And sense objects includes people. Okay. So because of this, yeah, and the actions that we create, the karma we create, then we get born in these different realms in samsara. Okay. And so it's like the bucket in the well, because the bucket goes up, let's say, to the formless realm gods, and then it goes down to the hell realms. And then it goes up to the human beings, and then it goes down to the hungry ghosts. And then it goes up to the desire realm gods. Those are the Beverly Hills people, you know? Or what is it in Spokane? What? South Hill, the South Hill people. Okay. In Seattle, it's the. What?
It used to be the Highlands, but I think it's
Mercer Island? Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, Mercer Island, right. Yeah. An area, Bellevue. Bellevue, okay. So, yeah, so then you really have all this delight. And then, then you're born in the demigod realm and you're always fighting with the gods. And so up and down, we've been in cyclic existence since beginningless time. There's been no beginning to the whole thing. And we keep going up and down and up and down and up and down. Yeah. And so that's like the bucket. Yeah. That goes up and down ceaselessly. When you really think of it, it's scary. When you think that you have the human potential to become a fully awakened Buddha, but you use your human potential to help your friends and harm your enemies and get what you want when you want it and create a lot of negative karma in the process. Yeah. Then you see, oh, I'm self-sabotaging. I'm the one who's causing myself to be born in all these different realms, up and down, like a merry-go-round you can't get off. Yeah. And you think it's kind of nice, You remember when you were a little kid and you sat on the horsey? Yeah. And then it started going around and your horsey went up and down and up and down. You thought it was great. Or you were on the Ferris wheel. Yeah, remember the Ferris wheel? And you were up and, oh, isn't this far out? This is so exciting. And then the Ferris wheel gets stuck. Yeah. Or then they have to take everybody off one by one. And you're sitting up there in the middle of the air, and it's like, I want to get off this thing already. Yeah. Or remember the Matterhorn at Disneyland? Yeah. Zoom. Boom. Boom. Yeah. And we all thought that was the epitome of fun. Yeah. And you go up and down on this, ridiculous, roller coaster. Yeah. And imagine you're on the Matterhorn and you can't get off.
In high school, the school rented the amusement park for us so that we could stay on the roller coaster over and over and over again. And it might sound fun, but after 3 or 4, you might have a heart attack for real.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, yeah, get me out of here. You got something? Yeah. So, this is just the thing of going round and around, and in all these different births that, and lives that we've taken, then everything seems so real and everything seems so important, and this person criticized me, and it is of, dire concern. Yeah. bordering on national emergency. Yeah. And if we had the power, we would declare it a national emergency and take all the money from the Pentagon and put it into what we wanted. Yeah? Huh? Yeah. Maybe we'd build a wall around our own little castle. Yeah? So, the point is, it's not a good situation. Yeah? And yet, it's the one we're in. Okay? So we have to be aware of that. And we have to, if we care about our own well-being, we have to start stopping creating the causes for it. We have to start creating the causes to get out of it. Okay? Then 4, just as it takes great exertion to draw the bucket up, but it descends easily, so beings have to expend great effort to draw themselves upward to a happier life, but easily descend into painful situations. Okay? So samsara, you're going up and down and up and down and up and down. Yeah? The down part is caused by our non-virtuous actions. The up part is caused by our virtuous actions. When we look around at sentient beings, when we even check our own mind, is our own mind, how much, if we were to compare the time when our mind is free from affliction and has a virtuous mental state, and the time of our mind when it's under the control of affliction, if we really monitored, which one would our own mind be more of? Yeah, the virtuous mind, the non-virtuous mind. Yeah. If instead of wearing one of those things that measured your steps, you wore something that measured your virtuous and non-virtuous minds, so you could keep track of, how you were doing, if you were creating mental health or not. Huh? It wouldn't sell. You'd have to cheat on it and, kind of stuff it full of the. Yeah, right. So, to really look and see, in our daily life, is our mental state, how much time do we spend thinking kind thoughts about other people or having motivations of kindness? And how much time are we just, looking out for our own sense, pleasure, happiness? Yeah, or getting mad at people, or mad at the system, or mad at life because it isn't what we think it should be. Okay? So again, we see very clearly it's difficult to create a lot of virtuous karma, and it's very easy to create non-virtue. Yeah. You come here to a course and you establish a really good pattern. You're meditating in the morning, you're meditating in the evening. Yeah, you're doing all sorts of things. You live at the Abbey, and before everything you do, you're saying some kind of verse to remind you of your motivation. And so it's really good. And then you go home, and then what? Yeah, you have the same determination. I'm just going to do it just like at the Abbey, So you go home on the retreat ends on Monday. You go home on Monday. I'm going to go home and I'm going to sit and meditate in the evening. And you get home And, well, before you even get home, you get your most valuable possession back, your phone. Okay? And so it's again glued to your hand, and your whole life is in that 3x5 space. Okay? And then you have to catch up on all your text messages and catch up on all your WhatsApp and your WeChat and all your RSS feeds. And then you have to, read the latest thing about the latest scandals going on. And you have to look at your friend's Facebook page because you just went 2 days without knowing what they ate for breakfast. So you need to get that essential information ASAP. And so then Sunday evening just kind of passes by because, you have to catch up. You just spent a weekend doing virtue, so you just have to catch up now. It's okay. Tuesday morning, you'll meditate. Yeah. The alarm rings Tuesday morning. Shut up. Then, I gotta go to work. Okay, I'm up. I gotta go to work. Won't get up to meditate, but to go to work and make money, we'll get up. True or not true?
This was kind of my question yesterday. So, when this is happening, it's not good enough. But saying good enough, dear, might not be enough there.
Yeah.
So what?
Okay. Well, good enough, dear, means you accept what is right now, but in the future it can be better. Okay. So that saves you from the self-criticism. Yeah. But it doesn't put you into apathy, saying, well, yeah, it's just good enough, so I won't even try to do anything more. Okay?
So it's about avoiding that.
Huh?
It's really just about avoiding, telling yourself down or.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Good enough means right now it's good enough because it is what it is. So whatever is better be good enough. Yeah? But that doesn't mean that tomorrow you can't do better. Okay? That doesn't mean you need to become a Buddha tomorrow. Okay? He just rolled his eyes. Yeah, you don't need to become a Buddha tomorrow. But, okay, I did this. I'm glad I did this. I feel good. I rejoice in my own virtue. And tomorrow I'm going to wake up 5 minutes earlier. I'm not asking myself to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and meditate without a break from 2 to 6. I'm not being unreasonable. I'm just going to get up 5 minutes earlier and then practice. Okay? And then you work on that,
Just having moved back to the States, I've really noticed how people, as you say, are glued to these mobile phones, screens in the various ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a real need for us these days to have a control of that. If we're at all interested in the Dharma, there has to be a really serious effort to disengage from mobile phones and computers and
Yep.
iPads.
Yep.
I think it should be part of our Dharma practice.
Yes, I completely agree, because those things are quite addictive. Yeah. They're, right. Yeah. Yeah. Everywhere. So again, this is a good example of we shouldn't rely on what is normal in society. We shouldn't rely on what everybody is doing, because that's not necessarily healthy or good. Okay, so this fifth one, yeah, we create non-virtue very easily. The bucket goes down very easily. It takes concerted effort, like we were just saying, to get up 5 minutes earlier, to unplug from our computer and iPad and, all these different things. Yeah, it takes effort to do that. So it's easier to create the cause for the lower realms, much more difficult to create the cause for the upper realms. Okay? Then the fifth one. Just as a bucket does not determine its own movements, so the factors involved in shaping a person's life are the results of past ignorance, attachment, and grasping. In the present, these same factors are continually creating more problems for our future lives, like waves in the ocean. Okay, so the bucket doesn't determine its own movements. Again, it's controlled by something else. Yeah, and when we look just, in our life right now, then sometimes we go, oh, I don't have very good conditions for practicing the Dharma. I have this, I have that, it's, these lousy conditions, I can't do very much, and we bellyache, and, oh, it's just, the country I live in just is not very conducive for Dharma practice, and I grew up in a family that taught me all the wrong things, not conducive for Dharma practice, and my education system didn't encourage virtue, and so, my whole childhood was anti-Dharma, and it was, wasn't it? Anti-Dharma, and then, I was bullied on the playground, and kids made fun of me, and my parents hit me when I was naughty, and, all these things, right? Okay? And so we just, again, we develop this identity of, oh, I'm just this victim of an unfair life. Other people have a life that is so much better than mine. Yeah? We all think like that. Look at somebody else. Oh, if only I was born in their family. If only I had their parents. If only I had their education. If only this. Okay? And we never say, oh, my situation of this life was created by my own ignorance, anger, and attachment. We never think that. We always think, there's fault in the external world. I didn't receive a fair share. And we will always find something to complain about. I had a very wonderful family. I did not realize it when I was a child. I only realized it after I started practicing the Dharma. When I was a child, I had plenty to complain about. I was sometimes quite a spoiled brat. I remember after my birthday, crying, sobbing, because it was going to be another year before I had a birthday. Ridiculous, isn't it? Totally ridiculous. Yeah, but this is the way the samsaric mind works. Whatever we have, it's not good enough, and somebody else has more, somebody else has better. Yeah? So it doesn't matter what socioeconomic class you're born into. It doesn't matter where you're born. We always compare ourselves to someone or something else, and we come out below. You think? True? Not true? Yeah? Are we even taught to think about the good things in our childhood? We are taught to think about how our childhood was insufficient. Good. Yeah, we all talk about, oh, my childhood this, my childhood that. You know, I had this, that horrible thing. We never say, were any of you starving as children? Any of you experience famine as a child? You know, we never look back and say, wow, I had food my whole entire childhood. Yeah. I never went hungry except for 5 minutes after I played baseball, before I got in the house to get something to eat. Look what we had growing up, but we never think of look what we had. We always think of what we didn't have. Yeah. So when it says very easy to go down and hard to come up, you can see why. Because our mind always thinks what we don't have and not what we do have. Okay? But we never think, again, that what we experience is a result of our own karma. Yeah? So all those times that on the playground when other kids teased us or bullied us, to think that in my past life, I teased other people or bullied them. Oh, me? No, I would never do anything like that. Oh, yeah? Yeah? Anybody here who never bullied somebody who was younger than you or took advantage of a child who was younger than you? Anybody here who was 100% nice to their playmates and their siblings all the time? Anyone? Yeah. Well, we did some nasty things when we were kids, didn't we? Of course, they were always our siblings' fault. Yeah, right. If there was a fight, it was never my fault. No, it was my brother's fault. Always. For sure. And the world was unfair because I got blamed for what he started. Because I was the oldest and they said I should know better. But he was the one who did this and this and this and this. I was the one who got in trouble and it's totally unfair. Okay? So, our own mental factors are what shaped our life this lifetime. Yeah. And we have a lot of happiness this lifetime, which means we created a lot of virtue in our previous lives too. Yeah. So kind of in between throwing sand at other kids, we had a neighbor, there was a fence between our backyards and there were 2 boys there. They used to throw rocks over the fence. It was a little bit dangerous. Yeah. But we couldn't throw rocks back. It was unfair. They could throw rocks at us, but we couldn't throw rocks at them. Yeah. I mean, this is the way kids think, isn't it? This is the way adults think. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, our present situations are the result of our past actions, And what we're doing now are creating the causes for our future actions. Yeah, so we create some virtue, we will experience some happiness and pleasure in the future. We create non-virtue, we will experience pain. Yeah. So just as the bucket doesn't determine its own movements, other factors influence those. So too, what we experience in our life is influenced by our past actions. So that's why I think doing purification is really helpful. Yeah, really helpful. Purification is so much more effective than complaining. Yeah, whenever you find yourself complaining, do purification practice instead. Yeah, complaining doesn't get what we want. Purification eliminates the obstacles. Okay, do practices to create merit. Yeah, instead of complaining. Yeah, but it's so much easier to complain, isn't it? Yeah, than to, it takes so much exhausting energy to get up and sit on that cushion, and so much energy to pick up our mala, and just the energy required to visualize Vajrasattva above our head is so exhausting, is so over the top. And then to think of, blissful light and nectar from Vajrasattva flowing into us. How exhausting. I just don't have the energy for that. But complain? Oh, I have the energy to do that. Yeah. I can do that talking, walking, digging in the earth, lifting heavy weights. I have plenty of energy to complain with. But visualizing Vajrasattva, and then on top of that, reciting the mantra. He's up there, with his blissful nectar. I got to concentrate on that and say, oh, Vajrasattva, I can't stand that person. Samaya Manupalaya. So easy to create. Think awful things. So difficult to, just have the energy. Okay, then the sixth one is just as the bucket bumps against the walls of the well when it ascends and descends, so sentient beings are battered day by day by the suffering of pain and change, and by being caught in processes beyond their control. Okay, so the bucket, that it doesn't operate under its own power, that is held by the rope, operated by an operator that goes kerplunk very easily, takes a lot of effort, to get up. And in this whole process of going up and down, it's not just smooth, but the bucket gets whacked against the side of the well. Okay, and whacked and whacked and whacked and whacked. Okay, without any respite. And so in the same way, as beings in samsara, we want happiness, we don't want suffering. But, problems come automatically to us. We do everything in our power to avoid problems, but they come automatically, unasked for. Yeah, we do everything in our power to get what we want, to have pleasure, and yet somehow it eludes us. We can't satisfy everything we want. Okay? And so in that way, we're battered by pain in samsara. Yeah? We're battered by what they call the dukkha of change, which means that even you experience some happiness, if you do it long enough, it turns into pain. Like we were saying, on the roller coaster, it's like, oh, so much fun to go on the roller coaster. But after 2 or 3 times, it's like, I want to throw up. Yeah. And what you thought was happiness now brings you pain. Okay? So what we're getting at is that samsara, cyclic existence, is a totally unsatisfactory situation. Yeah? That if we really care about our own well-being, if we really want to be happy, we have to remove ourselves from this situation once and for all. And the way to remove that is through eliminating the ignorance in our mind, because when the ignorance is eliminated, then the greed, the attachment, the vindictiveness, the anger, the jealousy, all of that can't stand up, because all of those afflictive emotions are based on that grasping at I and mine. So if we can cut that, then we have the, what's the card called in Monopoly? Where you go past go. Get out of jail? No, but it's not just there. But you get to go past go and collect $200. Yeah. So it's like that, except better. Yeah. If the epitome of your happiness is, getting past go and getting $200, it's kind of sad. Okay, so through this simile, Chandrakirti provides insight into the details of the process driving cyclic existence. So His Holiness says, first apply this information about cyclic existence to yourself so that you can understand your own plight and develop a strong intention to transcend this dynamic of recurring problems. That strong intention, it's renunciation of cyclic existence and the aspiration to attain liberation. Okay? If your mind has not been affected by thinking about the way you yourself wander in an uncontrolled cycle of self-ruin, then when you reflect on the process of suffering in other sentient beings, you will not find their suffering so unbearable that you would feel the need to help extricate them from this morass. Okay? So what he's saying, and this is a very important point, that in order to generate compassion, we have to be in touch with our own situation and see its unsatisfactory nature. Yeah. If we aren't aware of the unsatisfactory nature of our experience in samsara, then we can't generate compassion for other beings who are living that same experience. Okay? So that's why they say that suffering can make us more compassionate. Yeah? If we know how to relate to suffering with wisdom, then our suffering really opens our heart to compassion, because we see that other living beings undergo the exact same thing that we do. And we know how much we want to be free, so then it's so much easier to want them to be free too. Okay? If we don't have wisdom, but we're aware of our own dukkha, then we just fall into self-pity. Yeah. But if we know, how to deal with our dukkha, our unsatisfactory conditions wisely, then they can be a very strong motivating factor, not only to free ourselves, but to help us generate very strong compassion for other living beings. Yeah. Have you found that in your own experience? That sometimes when, you've gotten sick, afterwards, when you recover, you meet somebody who's suffering from that same thing, and it's so much easier to feel compassion for them because you know from your own experience what it's like. Okay, so that's the idea behind it. Okay, and so in Buddhism, the way the Buddha taught, when he taught the four truths, the first one was dukkha, the unsatisfactory conditions, and the cause of dukkha, are the afflictions and wrong views in our mind. And then he taught true cessations, the alternative, and true paths, the wisdom, the paths of wisdom that lead us to the true cessations. But when we come to Buddhism, we don't want to start with the first two truths, dukkha and the cause of dukkha. I want light and love and bliss. Yeah? I want some blissful experience that will set me apart from everybody else. See the Buddha or, whatever it is. Okay. I don't want to think about my own dukkha. And I don't want to look at all my own afflictive emotions. Yeah. So essentially, what we're looking at is we want a high without drugs. Yeah? I want light and love and bliss effortlessly. Okay? But that's not the way the Buddha presented it. Yeah? The Buddha presented it with, look at your own experience. If you can see your own experience with wisdom and wish yourself well, wanting yourself to be free of cyclic existence, then your heart is so much more open to the plight of others and to really reaching out and helping them. Mm-hmm. And through helping others, that's where the light and love and bliss come from. Okay. The light and love and bliss isn't just sitting there and waiting for something to zap you. Yeah. It's through reaching out. Yeah. Connecting with others. Doing something that helps others and makes your own life meaningful. Okay. So then there's a meditative reflection. So this is tonight what you're going to meditate on. Okay? So we'll just read it now, but you'll meditate on it later. Okay, so consider. 1. Just as a bucket in a well is bound by a rope, so I am constrained by counterproductive emotions and actions driven by them. 2. Just as the movement of the bucket up and down the well is run by an operator, so the process of my cyclic existence is run by my untamed mind, specifically through mistakenly believing that I inherently exist and that mine inherently exists. 3. Just as a bucket travels up and down the well over and over, so I ceaselessly wander in the great well of cyclic existence, from the uppermost states of temporary happiness to the lowest states of temporary pain. 4. It takes great exertion, just as it takes great exertion to draw the bucket up, but it descends easily. So I have to expend great effort to draw myself upward to a happier life, but easily descend to painful situations. 5. Just as a bucket does not determine its own movement, so the factors involved in shaping my life are the results of past ignorance, attachment, and grasping. And in the present, these same factors are continually creating more problems for my future lives, like waves in an ocean. 6. Just as a bucket bumps against the walls of the well when it ascends and descends, so I am battered day by day by the suffering of pain and change, and by being caught in processes beyond my control. And then 7, conclusion, therefore, from the depths of my heart, I should seek to get out of this cyclic round of suffering. And that's the conclusion you want to come to at the end of your meditation. Okay. Then, after that, you extend what you just experienced to others by thinking of others in the same condition. And we'll get to that part tomorrow. Okay. So, questions, comments?
Thank you so much for your insights today. I was wondering if you can advise on working with that compassion bit. I run into situations sometimes where, certain things or experiences I have suffered through, I see it in other people as well. And sometimes I wonder, unless they are in a position to want to work with that and overcome it, then I feel like I can be of more service. But I also feel like there are times where other people are still finding value in that victim state.
Mm-hmm.
And I find myself I have actually learned to back off from situations like that, because I don't think you can force people to change if they don't want to.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how you drew that distinction.
Yeah, I've bumped into the same experience I can. It's so easy to see where other people are stuck, isn't it?
So easy.
It's so easy. Yeah, to see where I'm stuck, impossible. But to see where they're stuck, it's so easy. And to see what they just need to do. It's not so hard. They just need to do it. And we have the advice for them, and we'll even help them do it. And they don't want to. Of course, we're never like that, are we? Yeah, we don't get stuck. We're always on top of everything. We're rational, reasonable people. Yeah. When we see we have a problem, we change it. But those people just aren't motivated, and they stay so stuck. And the thing that drives me really crazy is they come and ask for advice on what to do. And when you give them advice, they say, yes, but, and then tell you why they can't do it. Do you have that happen?
Oh, every once in a while.
Yeah. And so it's, I tried for a while. My mother has another expression. She said, don't bang your head against the wall. Okay? So I, spent a fair amount of time sometimes trying to help people, banging my head against the wall. And, because they really weren't at a point where they really wanted to change. Yeah. And the prison work that I do has really helped me understand that. Because the guys I work with tell me that, and these are guys who have, been with heavy, heavy addictions or heavy problems. And they all tell me that until you hit bottom and have the motivation to change, you're not going to change, And they tell me about, the judge assigns them to a drug and alcohol program instead of to prison. Yeah. And they go, but because they don't really want to change, they look like they do all the homework in the program and then go get loaded after the program. And they told me this themselves, and they said, this is just, you have to really hit the bottom sometimes before you get the inner strength to change. Yeah. And the bottom is different for everybody. Yeah, it's hard to say what the bottom is going to be for some people and how long it's going to take them to go kerplunk there. But, it's true. The people who really want to help themselves are the ones that it's easiest to help. Yeah. So we have to, Buddhism talks a lot about planting seeds. So with the people who don't manifestly want to change right now, the idea is to plant seeds, to expose them to the Dharma, to expose them to beneficial thoughts and virtuous thoughts, even if they don't do it. Yeah, even if they go, when's this going to be over? Just by sitting there and hearing it, it goes in at some level. And then by the fact of that seed being planted in someone's mind, then later on, when a new situation arises, then maybe something else, that seed will ripen. And they'll think, oh, now I have to act to change.
Thank you.
So we don't give up on those people, but we also don't put all our energy on them either.
Thinking of what you said earlier about, we were talking about conventional wisdom and Dharma wisdom, and I just wanted to point out that I was reading an article recently about a certain political candidate, and it's people in his own party, not just his the constituency in that party, but other politicians were attacking him viciously. And the fatal flaw was that he was not angry enough. So I think it's not just one party or the other. It's kind of the direction that conventional wisdom is leading us, and it's a really slippery slope, and it's troubling.
Yeah.
And because conventional wisdom just hasn't served us very well.
Yeah, it's conventional ignorance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got to speak up against it. What do you mean I'm not angry enough? Yeah. You can be quite assertive and quite direct without being angry, without being sarcastic, without being vindictive. Yeah. And to point that out to people. Yeah. We can still work for what is useful and be polite.
Find common ground without being angry.
Yeah.
Venerable, what is the text, Chandrakirti? Is it just called Supplement?
That's the short name.
Yeah.
It's supplement to Nagarjuna's treatise on wisdom, which is still an abbreviated title. Okay. Yeah. Some people translate it as introduction or engaging. I think supplement is good. To Nagarjuna's treatise on wisdom, or sometimes they call it fundamental wisdom. Nagarjuna's fundamental wisdom.